So we arrive at Deep Forest in the Supra, just about claiming pole position this time as well again, being helped with that straight line speed of the Supra, which hopefully will come in very useful in this race. And so we start with a rolling start and come into the first corner, take a slightly tighter line there just to avoid being overtaken and getting a relatively decent exit. I do love this car around this track. I think the Supra is very stable around the circuit. There are a number of sections, such as just there with the curb, which can really unsettle some of the MR cars. The only corner which is quite tough is this one. I don't know whether it's just me or whether it's the car, I tend to lose time at that corner because I have to brake a bit earlier than some of my opponents. And I do like this corner. The camber on it really helps with the turn-in and making the use of all the space to accelerate towards the outside and carry the most speed possible. Then, just through that tight corner there, have to be very precise with the braking and the trail braking into that corner. Now onto the main straight, and you can see my opponents a couple of my opponents there are right behind me, and it's very easy to get distracted by them and outbrake yourself into this hairpin. So making sure I find my braking point, take a slightly defensive line, no dive bomb attacks or anything like that, so good clean racing. And out of that corner, both my opponents seem to have lost a bit of time there, but this car is mighty out of the hairpin. I tend to find when I short shift into second or third gear out of that hairpin, the torque of this car, it really helps with accelerating out of slow corners. And certainly going into the second lap I do have a slight advantage there. And so into the first corner again, this can be tricky because you have to really find the right spot to accelerate out of like that and get a good exit without running wide and spinning off. This section is also great for trail braking and into this section as well. And so you can see I shift up into third gear here. And this car, the Supra, it works really well with short shifting up early to second or third gear, even out of slow corners. So it feels kind of counterintuitive because it starts revving slowly because you're in a higher gear in a slower cornering zone. But the torque of this car means that actually overall the speed ends up being faster. I've experimented with shifting up and not shifting up, and shifting up tends to bring in faster times. And not only that, it helps with traction, make sure the rear tyres don't spin and cause loss of traction. And it also helps with fuel saving as well. So it really is, to drive the Supra, really short shifting it as I run wide, and that's really where the complexion of this race changes a bit, because I think myself and D-Lox are pretty evenly matched in terms of time. So if I'd kept out of the slipstream zone, I think I could have just run my own race and just maintained the distance. But now D-Lox is into the slipstream zone, so he's going to catch up. You can see his RCF becoming bigger and bigger in the mirrors. You see I lost a bit of time relative to him there. That hairpin really cost me. So now taking a tighter line into this corner, a bit of rotation by shifting down into first gear temporarily, out of the corner in third gear. Now through this sweeping section, I keep it in fourth gear to keep the stability, down into third, then to second temporarily, then straight up to third to get that traction out of that corner. And this is a corner that which me and the Supra don't like. I think right there the reason for that little tap was just I tend to need to brake a little bit earlier than some other drivers, so other drivers come into that corner a bit more aggressively. I take it a bit more conservatively. I'm not sure whether it's just my style or whether this Supra just doesn't go well around that corner, because I can't attack that corner very well. So I try and get the brake a bit earlier and just try and get a good exit. Maybe that's something to work on. But in any case, that slight collision has resulted in me actually gaining time relative to the Lux. Obviously we both lost time overall to third place. Braking at the right point and into this hairpin, and you see short shifting out of that hairpin again. And I think the RCF behind has pretty good straight line speed, but the Supra also very good, especially in the second half. The acceleration is pretty good, I'd say, but it's the second half acceleration once here in sixth gear where the turbo comes in and you really feel the advantage. Obviously with D-Lox in the slipstream he's still gaining on me, but you see he doesn't gain that much. So into the first corner again, and D-Lox is right behind me now, so I'm going to have to make sure that I don't make any mistakes like I did in lap 2 at the hairpin. And so we're coming now into this first section where well, the second part of the first section, where here Super doesn't seem to like this corner because he gains on me. You see where Deluxe temporarily he gains on entry. I gain a little bit back on exit, so there is a bit of Constantine effect there, but I think overall most opponents seem to gain on me a little bit in that corner. I tend to gain a little bit around these couple of corners and out the hairpin, so it's interesting to see where different driving styles and different handling of the cars result in being strong and weak on different parts of the track. And that is, knowledge of that is very important, especially when it comes to battling your opponent and knowing when to hold back and when to maybe attack or when to defend. And speaking of defending, you can see Deluxe came right alongside of there, but it's almost impossible to overtake on the outside of the hairpin, so I just keep it on the inside. He gets a better exit though, having a wide line into the hairpin. You can see he comes side by side with me, and we're going side by side down the straight. But here you'll see he's right along my side, but the Supra, the top end of that Supra starts coming in. You can see I'm starting to pull back in front again. So really the straight line speed of that Supra and that second acceleration are very advantageous. As you can see here, I kept it on the apex there, so Deluxe had the outside line, he had a better exit speed, but I kept it on the apex so he couldn't pass and make use of that. And that's really key with defense 101, I guess you could say, is really parking it on the apex, so that if you're on the inside and defending, you're going to get a lower exit speed, so you really have to make sure that you keep the car tight so the opponent can't make use of their better exit speed. Easier said than done sometimes, especially when you're on worn tyres or under pressure. You can keep the inside and then run wide and your opponent goes straight through, so definitely something that takes a bit of practice there. As you can see, through the last 6 corners I pulled out a slight gap, but he's in a slipstream again, so he's going to maybe think about a pass because it's the final lap. Coming into the hairpin for the last time, pick the braking point, and I've just got it in, turn it in. I love the camber there, that really helps. And coming out of the last corner, and I think I've got this because it's going to be a drag race, he's going to get slipstream, but as mentioned before, that suit for the straight line speed I think is going to save me this time. It's going to make sure that I come through and it's side by side once again, but just holding on there. And amazingly, 1:26.791, Deluxe had the exact same time on that last lap, 1:26.791, which was incredible. So that was a great end to the race.